Look at the receipt in your hand. You are paying more every single month for produce that is functionally dead before it even reaches your kitchen table. While the masses scramble to afford flavorless oranges and wilted spinach under the flickering lights of a corporate grocery chain, a biological miracle is quietly growing in the forgotten ditches and rocky edges of the world. It requires no chemical fertilizers and no genetic modification. What if I told you there is a single plant that contains 12 times the vitamin C of a grocery store orange? A plant that offers more protein than a prime steak per gram of seed, and carries the incredibly rare omega-7 fatty acid, a compound Big Pharma currently bottles and sells to you for $80 a bottle. This organism is a survivor, thriving in negative 40-degree winters and producing a massive harvest for 60 consecutive years without a single drop of human intervention. Yet, you will never find this fruit in a supermarket aisle. The reason is simple. The industrial food complex cannot monetize a miracle that you can grow for free in your own backyard. They need you dependent on their fragile supply chains and their synthetic supplements. This plant represents total nutritional independence, and that makes it a direct threat to the trillion-dollar systems that keep you hungry. But the nutritional profile isn't the reason this plant was scrubbed from your high school biology books. The real reason is actually sinister. The illusion of choice is the most effective form of modern control. When you walk through those sliding glass doors, you see thousands of colorful products, but they are almost entirely derived from the same 3 patentable monocrops: corn, soy, and wheat. This is not by accident. Big agriculture has spent decades lobbying to ensure that our entire global food infrastructure is built upon plants that are easy to own, easy to tax, and intentionally designed to leave you nutrient deficient. This systemic deficiency is the foundation of the pharmaceutical industry's business model. A healthy, self-sufficient population is a catastrophic financial loss for companies that thrive on chronic illness and lifelong reliance on medication. This is why you have never heard of a plant that offers complete nutrition for free. The villains in this story are not just the corporations, but the very regulations they have written into law. Have you ever wondered why your local homeowners association or city council has such a specific list of prohibited vegetation? They often label the most life-saving, resilient shrubs as invasive weeds or prohibited nuisance species. By criminalizing the cultivation of high-density survival crops, they ensure that your backyard remains a useless patch of manicured grass rather than a fortress of food sovereignty. They want you dependent on a grocery store that is 3 days away from empty shelves at any given time. If you can provide for yourself, you are no longer a customer to be managed. You are a free agent they can no longer leverage. This suppression of botanical knowledge is a calculated erasure of our human heritage. By disconnecting us from the soil and the ancient plants that sustained our ancestors through harsh eras, they have achieved the ultimate form of people control. They have made us fear the very things that could set us financially and physically free from their grip. They call it a weed because they cannot tax it. But to the elite who know the truth, it's known by a different name. This is the suppressed reality of our secret, essential, and ancient natural world today. It is time to pull back the curtain on this botanical ghost. The plant they don't want you to recognize is Sea Buckthorn. In the world of survivalist botany, this isn't just a shrub. It is nature's rebellion in physical form. While modern crops require expensive petroleum-based fertilizers and constant pampering, Sea Buckthorn thrives in what the experts call dead soil. It seeks out the salt-blasted coastlines, the high-altitude rocky slopes, and the depleted industrial wastelands where nothing else has the strength to take root. It doesn't just survive in these hostile environments. It conquers them. This plant is a nitrogen fixer, which means it possesses the rare ability to pull nitrogen directly from the atmosphere and inject it into the earth through its root system. It literally breathes life back into dead ground, preparing the way for an entire ecosystem to follow. For the self-sufficient rebel, this is the ultimate secret weapon. You can plant it in the most marginal land, places the taxman and the corporate developers have written off as worthless, and it will transform that space into a fortress of high-density nutrition. It requires no irrigation once established and defies the pests that typically ravage commercial orchards. It is a defiant, thorny sentinel that protects your food sovereignty with a biological intensity that humans can barely replicate in a laboratory. It is the gold standard of survival crops, hidden in plain sight. By cultivating this plant, you engage in a radical act of self-reliance that bypasses the globalist supply chain entirely. It is a living middle finger to the agricultural status quo. Every seed represents your own survival in an increasingly unstable world. But don't let the name fool you. The golden berry isn't just fruit. It's a biochemical powerhouse that makes superfoods look like candy. To understand why this plant is a threat, we have to look past the berries and into the molecular architecture of the fruit itself. What you know about nutrition has been filtered through a corporate lens designed to keep you buying plastic bottles filled with synthetic fillers. You've been told that blueberries are the gold standard for antioxidants, but in the clandestine world of survival biochemistry, blueberries are barely a footnote. Sea Buckthorn contains over 190 bioactive compounds, a chemical complexity no laboratory on Earth has ever successfully replicated in a single pill. When we measure the antioxidant capacity using the ORAC scale, Sea Buckthorn leaves the commercial superfoods in the dust. We are talking about a concentration of superoxide dismutase that makes store-bought supplements look like a placebo. But the real miracle lies in the fatty acid profile. This is one of the only plants to contain a full spectrum of omega-3, 6, 9, and the incredibly elusive omega-7. While the mainstream health media focuses on fish oil, they conveniently ignore the fact that omega-7 or palmitoleic acid is the master key for internal organ repair. It is the primary building block for mucous membranes that line your digestive tract and your respiratory system. In a world where our guts are being shredded by processed additives and glyphosate, Sea Buckthorn provides a biological shield. It doesn't just treat symptoms. It provides the raw material for cellular regeneration. This is the hidden science of true survival. Furthermore, the vitamin C content isn't just high. It is structurally superior. The ascorbic acid you buy in a bottle is often derived from GMO corn and is chemically isolated, meaning your body struggles to actually absorb it. Sea Buckthorn offers a bioavailable complex surrounded by natural flavonoids that act as delivery vehicles, ensuring the nutrients actually reach your bloodstream instead of becoming expensive waste. It contains high levels of vitamin E, specifically the rare tocotrienols, and a protein profile that includes 18 different amino acids. It is a complete survival package. Compare this to the enriched products on your grocery shelf. Those products have been stripped of their natural essence and refortified with metallic, synthetic versions of vitamins that your liver perceives as toxins. The food industry relies on your ignorance of this biochemical reality. They want you to believe that health comes from a manufacturing plant, not a wild shrub. They want you to think that you need a subscription to a vitamin service to stay functional. The truth is that nature already perfected the formula. Everything your body needs to survive and repair from the onslaught of modern toxicity is packed into these small orange berries. They are a self-contained medical kit for survival. The entire system hates this plant because it cannot be regulated, patented, or stolen away forever. If everyone had a Sea Buckthorn bush in their backyard, the multi-billion-dollar supplement industry would vanish overnight. And that's exactly what they're afraid of. The economy of the modern world is not built on health. It is built on the management of decay. When we look at the economic threat posed by Sea Buckthorn, we have to recognize why it has been criminalized through strategic obscurity. If a single plant can provide you with essential multivitamins and medicine for 60 years, you have committed the ultimate sin against the corporate state. You have stopped being a customer. This is where the concept of shadow education becomes vital to understand. Our public school systems and universities do not teach survivalist botany because a population that can feed and heal itself is a population that cannot be easily coerced. This disconnection from the earth creates a control loop. By keeping you ignorant of the miracle plants growing right under your feet, the system ensures that you remain dependent on their global supply chains. You are forced to trade your time and labor for currency, which you then trade back to the same corporations for inferior, processed versions of the nutrients this plant offers for free. Sea Buckthorn represents a total break in that loop. It is a biological insurance policy that pays out every single year without a premium. To the pharmaceutical giants and industrial food conglomerates, Your independence is their greatest liability. They spend billions on marketing to convince you that wild is dangerous and processed is safe. They lobby for land use laws that make it difficult to grow anything other than ornamental grass. This isn't about aesthetics. It is about the systematic erasure of your ability to exist outside of their net. If you can walk into your yard and harvest everything your body needs to maintain its immune system and cellular integrity, you have successfully opted out of their trillion-dollar revenue stream. You are no longer a data point in their quarterly earnings report. You are a threat to their dominance. The suppression of this knowledge is a tactical maneuver designed to keep you fragile and fearful. When you understand how to cultivate and use the shrub, you are engaging in a form of economic warfare. You are reclaiming the sovereignty that was stolen from you through generations of forced ignorance. They want you to believe that survival is a product you buy, rather than a skill you possess. This is the shadow reality of our modern age. The things they won't teach you are the very things that would set you free. Botanical independence is the only true way to resist a system that demands your total, absolute, and complete mental compliance. They didn't just hide the plant. They tried to erase its history. But the survivors of the past knew better. The history books they forced you to read in school were written by the winners, and those winners have a vested interest in making you forget how to stay alive without them. Throughout the ages, the most powerful empires didn't rely on global shipping lanes. They relied on Sea Buckthorn. This plant was the engine of the Mongolian Empire. Genghis Khan, one of the most effective conquerors in human history, didn't just stumble upon his success. He fueled his legendary cavalry and his relentless soldiers with these berries, knowing they provided the stamina and rapid healing necessary to endure the harshest terrains on Earth. They called it the holy fruit because it turned broken men and exhausted horses into an unstoppable force. But the erasure of this knowledge goes deeper than ancient history. During the height of the Cold War, while the West was distracted by consumerism, the Soviet Union was conducting top-secret research into the berry's survival utility. They designated Sea Buckthorn as the first space fruit, mandating that cosmonauts consume it and apply its oil to their skin as a biological shield against intense cosmic radiation. While NASA was busy developing synthetic solutions, the Soviets were utilizing the ancestral wisdom of the steppe to survive the most hostile environment known to man. So why was this suppressed in the Western world? Why isn't every child taught how to forage this life-saving berry? The answer is as old as tyranny itself. A population that is famine-proof is a population that cannot be ruled. If you can survive a total collapse of the food grid, if you can heal your own wounds and maintain your own health without a doctor's permission or a state-issued ration card, you are truly dangerous to the status quo. The gatekeepers of the West preferred to cultivate a society dependent on fragile, high-maintenance crops that require massive industrial intervention to grow. They traded our botanical heritage for a system of control. By deleting the success of Sea Buckthorn from our cultural memory, they ensured that when the grocery store shelves eventually go dark, the masses will have no choice but to beg for a solution. History shows us that when the system fails, those with this forbidden knowledge are the only ones who thrive. Here is how you reclaim that power, beginning right now, within the private soil of your own secret and hidden sanctuary. To reclaim your sovereignty, you must learn the art of hiding your assets in plain sight. Cultivating Sea Buckthorn is not just about gardening. It is about establishing a tactical perimeter that provides both nutrition and security. When you plant this shrub, you are creating what we call a tactical hedge. Because the branches are covered in long, formidable thorns, it forms a natural security barrier that is virtually impenetrable to intruders. Unlike a chain-link fence that requires local permits and draws the attention of government inspectors, a dense thicket of sea buckthorn is simply viewed as landscaping. To the untrained eye of a nosy neighbor or an HOA official, it looks like nothing more than a common ornamental shrub. It offers the perfect botanical camouflage for the urban survivalist who needs to bypass restrictive local ordinances that criminalize traditional, high-visibility vegetable gardens and self-reliance. To grow it successfully and discreetly, you must understand its biology. It is dioecious, meaning you need both a male and female plant to produce fruit. One male can pollinate up to 8 females, allowing you to maximize your yield in a small, hidden space. It requires full sun but will tolerate the poorest soil conditions on your property, making it ideal for the forgotten corners where nothing else grows. Harvesting the berries, often referred to as liquid gold, requires a specific technique to avoid the thorns and protect the integrity of the fruit. In the field, rebels often wait for the first hard frost to flash freeze the berries on the branch, making them easy to shake off into a collection tarp. Alternatively, you can use specialized tools to press the berries directly while they are still attached, capturing the potent oils that contain the life-saving omega-7. This oil is the most concentrated form of the plant's chemical power, and it stores significantly longer than fresh fruit, providing year-round medicinal protection. By mastering these foraging and cultivation secrets, you are creating a permanent, decentralized pharmacy and a high-calorie food source that no centralized system of control can shut down. You are taking the first steps toward an autonomous life where your survival is not a fragile privilege granted by a corporation, but a sovereign right you have secured for yourself through botanical knowledge. Growing it is an act of rebellion, but having it when the supply chains snap, that is true, absolute survival today. When the grid finally buckles and the complex machinery of modern logistics grinds to a permanent halt, the primary threats to your life aren't just from external violence. In a total collapse, silent killers like vitamin C deficiency claim more lives than bullets ever will. This is where Sea Buckthorn shifts from a garden hobby to your primary biological insurance policy. Without fresh produce, the onset of scurvy can dismantle a healthy body in weeks, turning a strong survivor into a liability. Having a permanent, perennial source of high-density vitamin C isn't just a luxury. It is the difference between life and death. Furthermore, in a world without antibiotics, a simple scratch can lead to a lethal infection. The potent, antimicrobial oils found within these berries offer a medical-grade topical treatment that seals wounds and accelerates tissue repair. It is the ultimate independence tool for the current-era survivalist, providing a self-regenerating pharmacy that requires zero electricity and zero external input. While others are bartering their last remaining assets for a bottle of expired multivitamins or basic first aid supplies, you will be harvesting a fresh, potent supply from a plant that has been preparing for this exact moment for decades. You must realize that true security isn't found in a bunker filled with canned goods that eventually run out. It is found in the biological systems you establish today. The window to secure your own seeds and plants is closing. The system is tightening its grip on unauthorized agriculture. The shadow education is about more than just plants. It is about breaking the heavy chains of corporate control. This knowledge is your weapon against a system that profits from your weakness. Subscribe now to join the movement of rebels who refuse to be dependent on failing supply chains. We are building a network of the truly self-sufficient. Share this video with those you trust before it is flagged as misinformation by the gatekeepers who fear the truth. Your independence is the ultimate act of defiance. Reclaim your botanical heritage, protect your family, and stay free. The choice is yours.